Hi guys, it's Nikki Jabor for Troy Build Canada, and I love herbs. I love growing herbs in my garden beds as well as containers because really you can't beat the flavors that herbs like oregano and basil add to your cooking. But even as summer comes to an end, I don't want to give up my homegrown herb harvest. So I'm in the garden right now, about to gather some parsley. I've got some lemon verbena, and I'm going to pick some more herbs as well to preserve. So let me show you how you can preserve your homegrown herbs for winter cooking. Before you can preserve your herbs, you need to harvest them. I usually like to harvest my herbs mid-morning, once the dew has dried off the leaves, but before the day gets too hot. And of course, you don't have to wait till the end of summer to harvest herbs for preserving. You can harvest anytime the plants are large enough. I harvest basil and really Italian parsley all summer long, so I have plenty in my freezer or in my spice cupboard for winter cooking. Be sure to use garden snips, scissors, or pruners to gather your herbs. You don't want to try to yank or tug the stems or the leaves from the plants, which could cause damage. Also, once you've picked a bundle of herbs, give them a little shake to dislodge any insects you don't want in your home, and any dust, of course, as well. And then we can bring them inside to preserve them. And because I do harvest from my herbs like basil quite often, I don't want to just hack away at the plants when I harvest. I want to make sure I'm clipping the plants so that it encourages new growth, especially if I'm harvesting in early, midsummer, or even in late summer when there still may be time for more basil or other herbs to grow. So for example, this shoot of basil here, I'm going to cut back to this nice set of leaves, so these guys will still have time to grow and give me another basil harvest in about 2 weeks. There are two main ways to preserve your garden herbs. You can dry them or you can freeze them. And I find freezing is really the best way to preserve the intense flavors of herbs like basil, as well as Italian parsley and chives. Now you can pluck individual leaves from your herbs like basil here, and freeze leaves like this beautiful giant leaf here on trays, and then once they're fully frozen, you can place them in freezer baggies or in freezer safe containers and use them all winter long when you're cooking. Or you can harvest bunches of the herbs and using a knife or your food processor, roughly chop them with a little bit of olive oil and water and place them in ice cube-like trays like these. Or you can place them in freezer bags, and then I like to flatten the freezer bags out so they freeze nice and flat, because that makes it really easy to break off a chunk in the middle of winter when I'm cooking pastas. That way I still get that intense basil flavor in my cooking. Most herbs also dry really well. I like to gather mints, oregano, lemon verbena, thyme. So many herbs can be dried, and it's also super easy to do. So once you've gathered your herbs, well, just tie them into small bundles with twine like I have here, or using elastics, and hang them in a room that's very well ventilated but out of direct sun. And in about 10 to 14 days, the leaves should be crispy dry, at which point they can be removed from the stems and stored in spice jars. What's your favorite way to preserve your garden herbs?